Hello, friends, and welcome back to Likes Girls Podcast. I'm Maddie Tuma. Hopefully, you already know that. Diving into this week's episode of the pod, I kind of wanted to give some background and let y'all in all about me, my favorite topic, apparently, to talk about. So, thank you all so much for listening to episode 1, which was all about my experience going on a solo tour following Fletcher around her European and UK concert tour, which was awesome. And I just want to say thank y'all so much for showing love on that episode. And if you haven't listened to it yet, go ahead and listen to that after this one or pause this one and go check it out, whichever one you feel like listening to first. But yeah, either way, happy to have you. Happy to have you around. Happy to have you in my little family, this little community. So great. And honestly, I wanted to tell y'all that this podcast is really something that I am doing as truly a passion project. I have been a content creator for over 4 years now, and sometimes creativity can feel really stifled and can come and go. So I wanted just an outlet to really express myself and feel good about creating. So that is what this podcast is for. Hopefully it reaches people and it does well, but ultimately, my main purpose is just to spread some passion, okay? Also, please excuse, I've been sick, so if my voice sounds a little funky or if I'm coughing, it is because I got sick on the last day of my trip. So, diving into this week's episode, one of my most common questions that I receive is, how did you know you were gay? And I want to kind of give a little bit of backstory on my coming out journey. We're about to be in Pride Month, and I feel like this is the time of year where it's just great to talk about queer stories and queer people in general and just bring that representation. Y'all know another purpose of this whole podcast and my whole platform is truly to be the representation for plus size queer people. So how did I know I was gay? Well, that is a great question, and it's honestly something that I wish I knew so much sooner in life. Like, I look back on myself as a kid and I'm like, how did I not realize that I was part of the LGBTQ plus community? So I first realized I was at least interested in girls when I was 23, and I'm 26 now. So that's only 3 years of my life that I have been, openly out and comfortable in my sexuality. I think I knew I liked girls when I was young, but it was just something that I pushed away and just didn't even entertain. And I'll get into that more when I talk about kind of my experience growing up. But in terms of me coming out, it was when I was 23. I was living in New York. And honestly, I just was like, it was something that was nagging at me. And I finally just realized, this is who you are and it's okay. So before we get there, though, let's take it back, all right? Let's take it back to my humble beginnings of childhood. A little closeted queer girl who had no idea she was actually queer. She just thought that, boys didn't like her, basically. So growing up, I would say I was very sheltered as a child. Not in a negative way, just in that was the reality type of way. My parents were definitely more religious, a little bit stricter. Not compared to other people, I wouldn't say they were as strict, but honestly, I was just a really good kid. I just didn't have any interest in going against the status quo. I really thrived off of making my parents happy. So I think I just learned really early on, not to get myself in trouble, and I don't think I ever once got in trouble as a kid. Very few times did I ever do anything that, would consider getting myself in trouble. I think that goes back to my roots of really just avoiding confrontation. I think that's pretty much me from a very young age, but my entire childhood, I was very sheltered. My parents did make me go to church, literally every Sunday up until high school. So I would always have to go to Sunday school. So I grew up kind of in this religious family. And I don't remember, being taught that being gay was bad, but just inherently in the world that we lived in, it was taboo. I didn't know gay people, until I got to high school. So in high school was when I started to make friends with people who were gay, who were openly gay. And honestly, that's because I was always in theater. I was always in the drama club. And where do you find the gay kids in high school? The drama club, okay? So, so I went to the same middle school and high school. It was like one school. So for 6 years of my youth, I was in the same school, I was in the same drama club, surrounded by the same kids, pretty much. I went to a really small high school. Like my graduating class was like 150 people. So I was always in this like small community of kids. And looking back, it's so clear to me that, I was part of this queer group of kids, but I just had no idea that I was one of them. I just thought I was such a strong ally. Like I just thought I was such an ally to the community. So I think my first real memories of like being an ally and being involved in the community was back in 2013 when gay marriage was just legalized in the US. I like vividly remember the day and the days surrounding, gay marriage being legalized, because I remember being so excited and so happy, again, because I'm just such a strong ally to the community. And I'm just so happy that, gay people get to marry each other. So I remember that it was over the summer and I was volunteering at this theater camp for kids, which was a camp that I always went to every summer. I grew up in Florida, so, a very conservative town, like, there weren't, like I said, there weren't a lot of openly gay people. So every summer when I was a kid, I would go to this drama club or drama camp. And then once I was old enough, I was just like a volunteer, what's the word? Camp counselor, basically, of this drama club. And I loved it. I loved going every summer. It was so much fun. And I remember being at drama camp on the day that gay marriage was legalized, and everyone was so excited because, again, where are the gay people? They're in the drama club. So that should have been my real first clue to myself of like, oh, why am I so excited that gay marriage is legalized? Oh, probably because that's what I want. I'm not just an ally. But again, I had no inkling. I had no feelings of like, oh, this is what I want in life, And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that I just didn't have any romantic experiences, boy or girl. Like, I did not have really any experiences up until I got to college. And as I mentioned, I was pretty sheltered as a kid, so it's not like I pursued those things, and it certainly was, no one was pursuing me, okay? Like, I was one of those people who just had zero romantic attention in high school, in their youth at all. Like, I hear people who, had their first kiss when they were in 5th grade. Girl, that was not me. Like I had no attention from anyone when it came to, having a crush on me or a first kiss or anything like that. Like, not that I feel like I missed out, because it's like, it is what it is, but I certainly felt like an ugly duckling for a long time because I just never had any attention. And at that time, I was expecting it from men because that's just how I grew up, in a heteronormative society. I was expecting, okay, the boys would like me or I would like the boys. And I wasn't ever seeking it from girls, obviously. So yeah, I just had no romantic experiences. And if you know anyone who's like me, give them a hug, okay? Because we are the true warriors. To go through my entire youth having like zero, zero attention and zero validation from, anyone having a crush on me. Damn, the fucking self-confidence you have to learn to have when you have no validation from other people. I think it has a lot to do with why I struggled so much with self-confidence when I was younger, was because I just was comparing myself so much to what I thought was meant to happen. Like, I just thought, people were meant to ask me to homecoming or prom, or people were meant to do that. And if that wasn't happening, which it wasn't, there must be something inherently wrong with me, So I really internalized that for sure. Looking back, I mean, there weren't even any boys that I was interested in really having a habit. Like I mentioned, I went to a really small school, so I knew the same kids from 7th grade to senior year. And when you know the same boys for 6 years, you're pretty sure that you're not romantically interested in them. But either way, it would have been nice, obviously, to have that experience. So, and also I feel like, so people who are like me, who had no romantic experiences in high school, I think you'll understand like how that does affect like how you view yourself, because you see other people, you know, receiving that attention, and it's very hard not to feel like, okay, there's something wrong with me, you know, when really and truly, bitch, I was just gay the whole time. I just didn't know. And if only I had known I was gay. Obviously, I graduated high school in 2015. So I went to high school in a time where people were not out. Okay. I see on social media nowadays these beautiful like promposals and these women-loving women like going to prom, two girls going to prom together. Like, I think that is the most beautiful thing. Like, I am so happy for this generation of kids who get to grow up and that's normal to them, you know, that they could ask their girlfriend to prom. But I just did not have that experience in high school. There was no one out or, you know, proudly gay and proudly going to prom like with their partner in my high school. Like, that was not a thing whatsoever. And the only kids that were gay, you know, they probably weren't out. And then the only reason we knew they were gay was because people were bullying them and, you know, kind of forcing them out of the closet. So that was my really only experience seeing gay people in my age group, you know. So I had a good friend of mine. He was, you know, visibly gay, I guess you could say. And I don't think he had a boyfriend or anything, but, you know, he was bullied relentlessly at my school for being gay. And so I think that like internally I just kind of like knew that it was easier to just like boys and say I liked boys and, you know, move on with my life. But looking back, that same year that gay marriage was legalized, I also attended my first Pride event, which kind of happened accidentally. It was Pride Orlando, which looking back was like one of the best days probably in my life. My mom used to have this job where she would like work at different events. And one of the events was Pride Orlando. So she invited me and my best friend at the time. And we went to this whole Orlando Pride event. And when I tell you, I had the best day. Like, literally, I remember being so happy. I remember just being, like, on cloud nine. Like, again, just such a strong ally. Like, I had no inkling that, like, wow, I'm part of this community. Like, I just genuinely was like, I'm an ally. Like, I love gay people. I walked in the parade. I was waving the flags. Again, so much just an ally. I got a t-shirt. I can't remember exactly. Oh, the t-shirt said like all love is love or something like that. Like love is love, it said. And I remember wearing the t-shirt to school the next day and just being like, oh my God, like I just love gay people. Like I'm just such an ally. Again, no real like inkling that I was part of the community, just again, such a strong ally. And I even remember like having a conversation with myself, like in my head, being like, you know, do I like girls? And thinking about what it would be like to hook up with a girl, and then being like, nah, I'm not into that. And looking back, I'm like, bitch, straight people do not have those thoughts. Like if you're having gay thoughts, like you're gay. Like I don't know what else to tell you. Like if you think about what it would be like to hook up with someone who's the same gender as you, like like you're gay, okay? So there were many signs as to pointing me in the direction that I was gay, but for some reason it took me many years after to finally realize, you know, what I was feeling inside. And that's okay, you know, like it really is what it is. I've come to terms with it. I've made peace with the fact that like that was my childhood. I grew up sheltered. I grew up in a religious family. Like I have made peace with that chapter of my life. I can't change it, you know? And it is part of who I am, and it's part of how I came to be, you know, today. So everything is fine. Everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, I guess. Do I wish I could go back in time and tell myself, you know, you're gay? Yeah, I totally do, because I just think it would have helped my confidence so much. Like, as I mentioned, I struggled so much with confidence in high school, and I think so much of that had to do with me not realizing my sexuality. And I think had I had more confidence in who I was, just in general as a person, like I think that would have helped me so much. And I would have learned to not put so much attention on male validation. Like I mentioned, like I just always felt like there was something wrong with me because none of the boys in high school liked me. And I didn't really like them, you know? So I think if I had just known or had an inkling of like, Maddie, you like girls, like I think my confidence would have just not suffered so much. Like I could have just become more confident at a younger age. So once I got to college, I was so desperate. Honestly, desperate is the word, to have a romantic experience. Guys, I went to college not having even kissed anyone. Like, I had zero experience. Like, I'm telling you, I had no experience with dating or anything. Like, literally nothing when I got to college. So I was so desperate to have any sort of experience that I just, dove headfirst into it and like literally gave anyone who was interested my attention, which is so sad and something I totally wish I could go back and change because it was such a waste of my time and honestly just hurt my confidence even more. Because I was entertaining these horrible men, like literally horrible. I could do a whole episode about my horrible male dating experiences, but yeah, I was just entertaining any man that even gave me a hint of interest because I just was so desperate to have some sort of experience when it came to hooking up with people, kissing people, dating people. Like, I just was like, I was so over having no experience that I kind of just like overcorrected completely and I just went 0 to 100 real quick, which also really affected my confidence and my body image and everything very negatively, I would say. None of it made me feel good about myself, okay? So, so needless to say, I didn't have any great experiences with men in college. I never had any boyfriends. I never even had a successful date. I don't even think I really truly went on a real date in college. Like I hooked up with people and I did whatever that was, but it certainly wasn't some positive dating experience with men. So again, just pushing me further into this whole like very lack of self-confidence when it came to dating and everything like that. And I definitely graduated college still thinking, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why don't boys like me? Why don't I have any luck with boys? Like, what is wrong? My confidence was growing a lot in other places. Like, I was much more confident in my body, much more confident in myself in other areas of life. But still, when it came to dating, it was very much like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Again, bitch, you're gay. I really wish I had realized I was gay in college because I feel like that is such a time that people are exploring, their sexuality in their life. And what's funny is I was in a sorority and everything. Like, I lived in a house with girls. Like, there were many opportunities where I could have realized my sexuality. And honestly, like, I think I started to have inklings, but again, I just like pushed it down further away because I was like, once you're like 20 years old, you're like, bitch, I feel like I would have known if I was gay by now, So you're like, no, it's fine, I'm just not. And I think like my junior year, I kind of started to feel like I might like girls, but again, I just pushed it away. Didn't give it the time or energy. Like, I just didn't think about it, I was just thinking about other things. I was thinking about all the horrible experiences I was having with men. But, yeah, a good friend of mine, actually, this is kind of funny. A good friend of mine who I was roommates with in my sorority house, she was also in the closet at the time, but she has since come out and is engaged to a beautiful woman. They have a beautiful relationship, and they're actually getting married this year. So I have faith that my closeted self will, I look back and I think about who I was that year, just in college in general, fully in the closet, fully having horrible experiences with men. And I'm like, you know what? It's okay because you came out the other side and things are getting better and you're going to be okay, babe. You're going to be okay. And the second I could leave Florida, which is where I went to high school and college, I did. And so I moved to NYC, packed up my life. I moved for school. So I went to NYU for grad school, and that's what brought me to New York. And another reason I should have known I was gay was my entire life I wanted to move to New York. Like, I always loved New York. And obviously, you don't have to be gay to move to New York, but a lot of people in New York are gay. Like, I would say the majority of people in New York are part of the LGBTQ plus community. So I always just like romanticized the idea of living in New York, always loved the idea of it. And so I was so excited once I could finally move there. So I moved there in August 2019. Obviously, the pandemic happened a few months later. So I really only got a few like normal, quote unquote, normal months in New York and in school before the pandemic happened. But, during the pandemic, I was still working online, and this was also the time that I was becoming a content creator. So I was really coming into my own when I moved to New York. I would say my life kind of started when I moved to New York. Like, as cliche as that sounds, I truly feel like I became myself when I was on my own and independent in New York, because I had this whole new chapter of my life. I could leave behind that girl that I was in Florida, that girl who felt like, lacked confidence and just like had such a hard time with relationships. Like, I could leave that behind and start new because I'm in New York. You can be whoever you want to be in New York. Also, no one knows you. Like, I did move to New York with my best friend, but like, that's my best friend, like she's gonna ride or die for me either way. So the second year that I lived in New York, we moved into a new apartment. We had the most beautiful apartment on the Upper East Side. Like, we were just living our best New York City life. Like, I felt like I was in Gossip Girl. The rent was affordable because it was still the pandemic, and we just had the most beautiful apartment. We had a rooftop. We had everything. It was everything I could have wanted, and I just feel like I was like living my best life, as I mentioned. But this was also the year that I really started to realize, like, oh my God, like, I like girls. And it was just this feeling, like, I had been dating boys once I moved to New York, I started dating right away. Like, I was on Hinge, I was on the dating apps, only boys. Like, I was only dating boys. And when I tell y'all, it was horrible. Like, you thought my dating boys experience in college was bad. Girl, my dating guys experience in New York was awful. Like, I just had bad experience after bad experience, and it was just, these men were awful. Like, listen, even if I liked men, these men were awful. Like, these were just, I was finding the worst men on these dating apps who were treating me horribly. But again, I had such low self-esteem when it came to dating that I was just letting these men basically treat me however, because I so desperately wanted a boyfriend and wanted a relationship, because I truly just wanted to prove to myself that, like, I could have that, like, I'm 21 at this point, 22. I've gone my whole life without a boyfriend. Like, I just so desperately wanted that. And so I was just entertaining these awful New York City men. Like, the men were awful in Florida, the men were even worse in New York. So, so by the time I lived on the Upper East Side, I think I very much was just realizing how over I was, like, letting men treat me horribly and letting men affect my self-esteem. So I definitely put dating on the back burner, especially obviously the pandemic happened. Like, dating was no longer a priority of mine once the pandemic happened. Like, before the pandemic, I was going on a lot of Hinge dates, but then obviously once the pandemic happened, like, I wasn't meeting new people, for obvious reasons. So I'm in my, by the time I moved to the Upper East Side, we were no longer quarantining, so it was a different pandemic world. It was much more open, but I would say I still was not, leaning into dating. I was, however, realizing that I had an attraction to girls. So the main, thing that kind of sparked that was I met a new friend. She was a mutual friend, that I had met through some girls that I knew from school, and I honestly just had the biggest crush on her. Like, that's the only way I can describe how I felt towards her. Like, when I was around her, like, I just was, like, attracted to her. I thought she was pretty. Like, I just liked looking at her. Like, I had a crush on this girl. And that's the first time I ever experienced that. Like, I never, to my understanding, had a crush on a girl. I never felt like I had a crush on a girl until I met this girl. And it's not that she was flirting with me. She gave me no, like, it wasn't like she was flirting with me or expressed that she had a crush on me. It wasn't that way at all. It was truly just I liked being around her, and I felt like I had a crush on her. And so in my head, I'm like, shit, like, what does this mean? Like, why do I have a crush on this girl? Like, this has never happened before. Why do I feel this way, And at that point, it sort of became undeniable to me. But I still didn't tell anyone. Like, I very much kept it to myself. Didn't even tell my best friend. Like, very much kept those feelings inside. I would say it was a good, 3 to 4 months of me like having a crush on this girl and realizing like, oh shit, I like girls, before I ever said those words out loud. Like, it was definitely like months of me realizing like, oh, like this might be something I need to look into. Like, I have these feelings. And again, straight people do not have gay thoughts. So I was just like, I couldn't shake it either. I kind of felt like, oh, like it'll go away. It's just this one girl. And then I started to realize, no, it's not just this one girl. Like, this girl has kind of sparked it for me. But when I think about it, like, I would definitely be interested in dating a girl. So yeah, shout out to that girl. I have since told her that I had a crush on her, and she's straight, so she obviously nothing went with that, which is fine. But I do appreciate that I had like a safe space in that I could feel like, okay, like I have a crush on this girl, like what are these feelings? How do I go from here? I was so confused. I had spent 22, 23 years of my life only dating boys, only having awful experiences dating boys. And now all of a sudden I feel like I like girls. Like, where is that coming from, So I finally get the courage to tell my best friend that I, think I want to date girls. And it was one drunk night. There was this bar by our apartment that we would always go to, and it was just her and I, and we were sitting there like taking shots, basically getting drunk. And I was like, it's now or never, bitch. Like, you need to tell her, because I hadn't told anyone. Like, I had not even said it out loud that I liked girls. Like, I hadn't even told myself out loud that I liked girls. Only in my head had I been like, okay, bitch, like, you're bi, or you like girls. So I finally get the courage. I'm like, Bessie, I gotta tell you something. She's like, what? Like, she thinks I'm about to like, she has no idea what I'm about to say. And I was just like, I was like, I want to try dating girls. Like, I think I want to date girls. And of course, she was so supportive of me. Thank God. She's the best. Also, like, literally 90% of my friends are gay. So it's like, it's like, join the club, bitch. Okay? You think you're special. Like, but I just remember being so happy when I finally just said it out loud. And I finally just like, it felt normal. Like, it felt so natural for me to say, because it's like, okay, like, finally, like, this is a piece of me. This is a piece of me that I've been pushing away. For what reason? Like, there's no reason to deny that you feel this way. And also, like, this is just the beginning. Like, this is just the start of exploring, what my attraction to girls is. Yeah, so what's funny though is I came out to all my friends as bi. I came out as bi at first because I did still feel like I liked boys, because again, I had only ever dated boys. I still wasn't ready to like give up, I think, on my pursuit of finding a guy. But I definitely knew I was interested in dating girls. So I did try to go on dates with girls, but I really only went on like 1 or 2, I think, in that first year of me being out as bi. Because it was hard. It was hard to find girls. It was hard to like put myself out there. Like, I definitely was tiptoeing more into the like gay scene. Like, I was trying to go put myself in, queer places. I was trying to go out more and like meet girls, but my God, it is very difficult when you first come out and you're first interested to like figure out how to date a girl. Okay, what's funny is the few times I would go out and like talk to a girl, my go-to line, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. I literally would just straight up ask girls. I was like, okay, do you like girls? Like, I would just straight up ask. And 99% of the time, it's actually a very effective line, because you get right to the point. You figure out if they like girls or not. And it was just great. Like, I was having fun. I think I was just like, I felt this like new energy of like, okay, this is who I am. Like, I'm okay with it. I'm actually happy with it. Like, this feels very natural for me. But that was about a year of me identifying as bi. And then after a year, I kind of was just like, you know what? Like, I don't know if bi is right for me. And in February of 2023, was when I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna date girls right now. It's not that that month decided, okay, like I'm a lesbian. Like I just decided that I wasn't gonna pursue dating men in 2023. Like I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give myself 1 year to only date girls and see how that goes, because I have freaking spent now 23 years of my life dating boys, and that's not going well. Actually, I was really more like 24, 25 at that point, so 25 years of my life only dating guys, and it had been going awful. So I finally decided, look, I'm just gonna give myself this year to only date girls and see where that takes me. Well, spoiler alert, it felt so much more natural to me. I felt so much more confident. Like my confidence got so I felt like my confidence was rock solid. Like I was just solid with myself when I finally just said like, it's okay to just date girls. You don't have to hold on to this identity of being bi just because you think like, you've dated boys your whole life, or dated is a very loose term. You've, you've hooked up with whatever, with boys your whole life. I just felt very attached to the idea, of a boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? Like I just wanted to prove that like it wasn't my fault that I had all these negative experiences with boys. And yeah, it wasn't my fault, but I think I was so attached to this idea that, that's why I identified as biased first. But then once I let go of that idea and that attachment to, heteronormative ideals of me being attracted to men, like that's when I finally felt like myself. And it just, things just finally clicked for me when I was like, oh, I'm a fucking lesbian. Like I am gay. Like I'm literally gay. Okay. Things finally felt right for me. And not only was it because I decided to just spend the year dating girls, I finally had sex with a girl, okay? And that's when I finally was like, oh, like, that's what that feels like. Okay, that feels way better than any sexual experience I ever had with a man. Maybe it's because I'm just fully gay. And if you've been following me for a long time, you might remember a story that I told about the first time I ever hooked up with a girl. I wouldn't even say I had sex with this girl because it truly didn't, we didn't make it to that. It was really just a hookup. But the first experience I ever had hooking up with a girl was a batshit crazy experience, like batshit crazy. And I don't know if I'm going to retell that story here and now, but if you're an OG follower of mine, you remember my story of hooking up with a girl on a cruise, and that was batshit crazy. That was still in the year I identified as bi. So once, flash forward about a year, I finally actually had sex with a girl, what I would consider to be sex versus just hooking up. And it was the best experience. The sex was, listen, I'm just speaking candidly at this point. I hope y'all are cool with it. The sex was amazing. It was a great experience. Once you feel a girl like have an orgasm on you for the first time, you're never the same. Okay, you're simply never the same. And I wasn't. Like I surely was not the same girl like after that happened. So yeah, once I had sex with a girl, I was like, all right, I think I'm just fully gay. It did take a couple more months for me to like start calling myself a lesbian, but it just felt so natural to me. Like I remember telling my best friend, like, I feel so much more like myself, like just fully diving into this world of being gay and accepting myself for being lesbian and not, trying so hard to stay attached to this idea of dating guys. Like I just was okay with giving that up because it felt right. Like it just felt natural to me to explore this world of dating girls. So yeah, and I was having fun with it. Like I was going out. There's this bar in Brooklyn called The Woods, and hopefully my NYC gay girls will know what I'm talking about. So every Wednesday is lesbian night at this bar. Like every other night of the week, it's just, a regular bar, and on Wednesdays, it's a lesbian night. And when I tell y'all, the lesbians come from far and wide to go to The Woods. Like they are there. And me included, like I was basically going every week to this lesbian bar. I was going out a lot, just specifically to lesbian bars. And it really wasn't necessarily just to find girls to hook up with or anything like that. It was really just to put myself in spaces where I felt comfortable and confident being surrounded by other lesbians. Like, that felt really, really good for me. So, yeah, so that, I mean, that was, like I said, that was February 2023. So that really wasn't that long ago. That was about a year and a half ago now of me truly identifying as lesbian. And yeah, now I really just see myself having a wife. Like, I was so stuck on the idea of, not letting, and don't get me wrong, do I still sometimes see a man that I'm attracted to? Sure. But like, I don't see myself in a relationship with that man. You know what I'm saying? When I think of a relationship, I really think of a girl. Like, I think of, oh, having a wife in the future. And so that's why I felt comfortable enough to just be like, look, I'm only going to date girls, only going to pursue women because that's what feels good for me. And I think that there's like such a stigma around identifying as a lesbian. Like, so, so many people will say, oh, well, you just haven't found the right man yet. Like, I've unfortunately had experiences where like friends of mine will say like, oh, well, you don't know, like, you could still end up with a man. And like, I can't tell y'all how much that truly breaks my heart. Like, when someone says that to me, they're not my friend. Like, I realize, like, that's just an acquaintance of mine. Like, they're not gonna ever be a close friend of mine if that's their opinion, because they clearly don't see me for who I am. And they clearly don't understand that sexuality is a spectrum. Like, just because I thought I was attracted to men growing up doesn't mean I am now. And in the future, if I did find a man that I was attracted to, okay, sure, I'm open to that. But at the end of the day, like, my attraction to a couple men doesn't take away my feelings of comfort and confidence and just feeling like myself when I think of dating women. So that's why I just feel like I really found the confidence. That's how I feel like I just found the confidence to identify as a lesbian, is because like, it just feels like who I am. I have no other real way of like putting it other than that just feels like who I am. And the more I put myself in queer spaces, the more I had experiences, the more I realized like, oh, this is who I am, and that's okay, And I truly thank the friends that I have that are strong allies, because they're who helped me and supported me throughout this year and a half to like have that confidence to identify as a lesbian and say, Maddie, it's okay if you don't identify with the label of bi anymore. It's okay if you want to, identify as a new label. Like, I feel like labels are tricky too, because it's hard to put yourself in a box. We're all human. Like, at the end of the day, we are all human beings and we have feelings, and feelings are on a spectrum. But to have the confidence and reassurance from my friends to know, like, it's okay to explore your sexuality and figure that out for yourself, like, that means a lot to me. So if you're, someone like me who was exploring their sexuality, I can't express enough how important it is to surround yourself with supportive, friends who are allies to the community, who will never judge you and who will never pressure you, who are just will ride for you and are along for the ride of you figuring yourself out. And I will say, like, I love being gay. Like, I love being lesbian. Like, it's so much fun. It's so much more fun than dating men ever was. Even my negative experiences with girls are not nearly as bad as any negative experience I had with a man, okay? So, yeah. I know this episode wasn't as funny. I don't know. I guess I didn't, this was more of like a matter of fact, like storytelling episode rather than like a lighthearted, funny episode, which y'all know I love to keep it light. Listen, I love to laugh. I love to joke around. But I did feel like it was important for me to kind of like talk y'all through my journey of coming out and like truly what that was for me. And you know what? Like, what's crazy is it's still happening. Like, I'm 26. I came out when I was 23. Like, I didn't even realize I was attracted to girls till I was 23. I still feel like I'm like a baby when it comes to dating. Like, I just have this whole new, like, set of life skills that I'm learning, like how to flirt with girls, how to date girls. Like, I do feel like I've gotten a lot better at that as my confidence has grown. And honestly, like, I love dating girls. Like, it's so much fun. Like, I can't express enough how fun it is to date girls. And that's what makes me realize like I am a lesbian, is because I never felt that way about dating men. Like when I was dating men, I felt so self-conscious. I felt so uncomfortable. Like men truly made me feel so uncomfortable. Even the nice guys, even nice, welcoming, safe men, I felt uncomfortable around. And that just leads me to believe like I am a lesbian, because like you're not, straight women don't feel that way. I mean, maybe they do, but like most straight women don't feel so uncomfortable around the men that they're dating. And I always felt uncomfortable. And now it's like completely different life when I think about the girls that I'm dating. Like I feel comfortable around girls. I feel happy. I feel myself. I feel like I can be myself. And that is like the most important thing to me when it comes to dating, is being myself and being confident in that and being happy with being myself, you know? Because at the end of the day, I am 100% on my own. I am full. My cup is full on my own. So when it comes to dating, I'm looking for someone who adds to my life. Okay, boy, girl, I don't care, whoever. I'm looking for someone who adds to my life. And I just want a beautiful girl who's on the same page as me, who is full 100% on her own, who can come and make my life even better. So yeah. And honestly, like I truly think wherever you fall on the sexuality spectrum, whether you're bi, whether you're lesbian, whether you're like whatever you identify as, that's amazing. Like I think that you have the confidence to identify in the queer community. Like good for you, okay? Like you have the confidence to be yourself, to identify with something that, you know, so many people don't have the courage to come out and say, hey, yes, this is how I feel. And I just want to acknowledge too how grateful and privileged I am that my family is so accepting of me. I can talk about that a little bit too in terms of my coming out journey. Like, when I first came out to my mom, like literally, I remember we were in the pool. I was at my house in Florida with my mom, my best friend, my mom, and my mom's boyfriend. And we were literally having like a pool day, okay? We were all drunk in the pool. Literally, like, we're at home, blasting music, having snacks, having drinks, chilling in the pool. Like, just a classic Florida day, which I love. And I think we got on the topic of dating. I'm not sure how exactly we got on the topic, but I remember I had wanted to come out to my mom for a little bit now, because I had obviously come out to all my friends as bi. And it's something that I wanted to start posting about online. Because again, I was a content creator before I ever came out. Like I had a platform before I ever came out as bi even. So I had this platform, but I wasn't able to really talk about dating. Like if you've been following me for a while, you know I used to share dating stories about men, bro. Like I used to share all of these dating stories about men, and I wanted to start talking about me being bi and dating girls, but I hadn't come out to my family yet. And I just felt like, okay, well, before I post it on the internet, like I should probably tell my family, you know? But I didn't really know how to do that. So it kind of just flowed out of me. Like we're sitting at the pool and I looked at my mom and I was just like, oh, like, you know, just so you know, like I like both, like boys and girls, or like some like drunk like phrase of that. And my amazing mother, what an angel she is. She literally gave me a hug and a kiss on the forehead, and then we moved on. Like she didn't even really say much. Like we just like, which honestly was exactly what I needed. Like I didn't need it to be a big deal. I didn't need it to be something. Like she just accepted what I said and gave me a hug and a kiss and, you know, showed me that she loved me. And then that was it. Like that was perfect, honestly, because I didn't want it to be some big deal. I'm the same person I was. And to be honest, I think she probably had some sort of inkling that like as a kid I was, because again, like throwback to what I was talking about at the beginning of this episode, I was always a drama kid. I always had gay friends. Like she must have known deep down inside somewhere that like her daughter was a little fruity, okay? Like I don't think it was hard for her to believe, basically, is what I'm saying. But I am really, really thankful for that, because I know that is not everyone's experiences, and I'm super privileged to, you know, have that experience where my family is super supportive of me. I did come out to my brother as well. I think my brother was, I came out to him before I came out to my mom, probably like a couple weeks or something before, and thankfully he was super supportive of me as well. So yeah, and those are the people that matter to me. My extended family, I don't feel the need to come out to. A lot of them follow me online, so like obviously those who follow me know. But I don't feel the need to come out to my extended family just because like they're not my day-to-day life, so why would I feel the need to tell them? But the people who are in my day-to-day life, obviously they know and they support me 100%. I will say it's funny because obviously I came out to my mom as bi first, and then a year later, you know, I'm posting all over the internet about how I'm a lesbian, and I never really fully told my mom, like, I'm a lesbian, you know? Because, again, it took me a while to figure out. But I remember another conversation with my mom. We were talking about dating or something, and I remember just looking at her and being like, oh, by the way, mom, like, you know, I'm gonna have a wife. And she literally goes, yeah, Maddie, I follow you. I know. I'm like, okay, perfect. Like, we're on the same page then. So, shout out to Instagram for my mom following me, and I just didn't even have to come out to her again. She just knew and she was on the same page. And God bless my mama. She's so supportive. She'll listen to my stories. She just wants me to be happy is the thing. Yeah, she just wants me to be happy, and I'm really thankful that I have that relationship with her, that I can just be authentic and be myself. And, you know, she doesn't want me to be different. She doesn't expect me to be different. Like, she's cool with it, you know, which means a lot to me. So yeah, super happy that I have my family's support on that. I think something that does make me a little sad is I never came out to my grandma. And my grandma is someone who was super important to me. She did pass away this past November. Oh my God, December. She passed away in December. My brain is like all over the place. But yeah, she passed away in December, and her and I were super close. And the thing is, I never told my grandma. But what I loved about my grandma is she never asked me about dating. Like, she never asked, oh, like, when are you gonna have a boyfriend? Whereas, like, other members of my extended family would ask me that. Like, oh, when are you gonna have a boyfriend? When are you getting married? Da 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 da. And to me, that's just, like, such a non-important question to ask, you know? Ask about my job. Ask about my life. Like, ask about anything else besides a romantic partner. Like, that I would rather talk about. And so I always appreciated that my grandma never asked me like about having a boyfriend or anything like that. But unfortunately, my grandma was very conservative, which is hilarious because really none of my other close family members are. But my grandma was born in the 1920s. Okay, she passed away when she was 95 years old. So she had very conservative views. And truthfully, I just never wanted to like hear her say anything negative about me being gay. So that's why I decided not to tell her, because I was just like, listen, like, I don't want it to cause any negativity in our relationship because we have such a good relationship. So that's why I decided not to tell my grandma. So she did pass away without me ever coming out to her. But truly, I think that was for the best. Just so that, you know, I never had to experience her saying anything mean or like homophobic or whatever. Because even though she loved me to pieces, like, again, she still had those conservative views. So yeah, anyway, I'm just super lucky that my close family and all my friends support me and are very much allies of the LGBTQ plus community. And like I mentioned in my last episode, if you're not an ally, like, you're not in my life, okay? So, allies and gay people or nothing. Oh my god, I feel like this was such a serious episode. I meant for it to be more lighthearted and fun, but I just feel like I had a lot to fill y'all in on. So, hopefully y'all enjoyed this episode. Trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to leave y'all with, but I'll leave y'all with this. If you're someone like me who is maybe a later in life lesbian or is figuring out their sexuality or just doesn't have that confidence to come out yet, first of all, just know it's all on your terms. Like, you do not have to feel any pressure to come out or to pick an identity. Like, please don't feel that pressure, because sexuality is a spectrum and it's something that can evolve with you over time. And, you know, you can identify as queer and not know what that means to you 100%. So give yourself grace and give yourself time to figure it out. Take that pressure off. Like, girls are gonna be there, okay, babe? Like, if you feel like you want to date girls, lean into that and just go for it. But don't put pressure on yourself to, figure it out right away or come out to everyone. Like, do what feels right for you 100%. Like, that's what my best piece of advice is do what feels right for you and have confidence in that, because For me, coming out and dating girls and realizing I'm a lesbian has helped my confidence so much. And I think that's the best part about coming out, is like you just start to feel like yourself. Like you can take a deep breath for the first time because you feel like, okay, this is who I am and this is okay. I think being queer is a beautiful thing. I think it's a positive thing. I would not change it about myself. I love being a lesbian. Like, I truly would not change anything about myself. And I want y'all to feel that way too. And if you're struggling to come out, or if you've come out and you're still struggling, like, just know that it takes time and your journey is exactly where you're meant to be. Take that pressure off yourself. Be your best supporter. Like, stop pushing yourself into a box. Stop trying to be, anything specific. Just be yourself. Literally just be yourself. Be where you are today. And I'm saying this out loud so I can hear it too, so I can take my own advice. Because y'all know I want a girlfriend so bad. And like, I often get down because I don't have a partner. I don't have a girlfriend. I see so many, beautiful queer relationships, and I want that so badly for my own life. But at the end of the day, like, I'm so happy with me, and I've got my own back, and I am good with myself till the end, And the day that I do find a partner, a happy, healthy relationship that adds to my life, like, that will be the day that it feels right. But until that day, all I can do is have my own back. All I can do is listen to myself and be true to myself. And the same thing for y'all, whether you have a partner, whether you're searching for a partner, whether you're literally don't even know how to flirt with girls, like, every step of the way is valid. And the best thing you can do is just be yourself and surround yourself with supportive people, and be that supportive people for other people in your life who might be coming out. And have a freaking great Pride Month, okay, people? We are entering Pride Month swiftly, and I am so excited for it. If you're out, if you want to come out, Pride Month is the freaking month to do it, okay, people? Like, step out of the closet. The closet is made of glass, all right? The closet is made of glass. Life is so much better when you're out and living your truth in a way that is safe for you, because I know not everyone, has a family where they can feel comfortable being out. But if you feel like you can, go for it. You deserve it. You deserve to live a life out of the closet and full of love, because love is love. And all you need is love in this life, people. Kiss a girl for me. Kiss a girl for me. Spread the gay agenda. And just live your best friggin' life this Pride Month. I'm so excited. Yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this episode about my coming out experience, my gay awakening, how I realized I was a lesbian. Shout out to that girl I had a crush on, because she's really who made me realize, oh my God, I like girls. And hence why this podcast is called Likes Girls. Yeah, oh my God, I just love kissing girls. It's so much fun. Me trying to end this episode on like a positive note and make y'all laugh. I just want to make y'all laugh. Did y'all laugh? I feel like this was kind of a serious episode. I promise I'll try to make y'all laugh in the next episode. But thanks for listening to me yap. And please, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to comment them. Feel free to leave a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment, or go ahead and DM me. I will DM you back, and we can have a whole conversation about what it means to like girls. So I love y'all. Happy Pride. Kiss a girl. I'm going to be launching some Pride merch for Pride this month, so I'm so excited about that. Follow me on Instagram if you're not already to keep up with all the things Pride merch. And I love y'all. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for being with me on this journey. I think something that's really awesome about my coming out journey is like the entire thing has been basically documented on my social media. Like, from me thinking I was straight to me coming out as bi to me coming out as a lesbian, like, that has all been on my social media, and y'all have been along for that journey. I've been so fortunate to create this incredible community of women who are not only plus size, but identify with the queer community. And I just think that's so special. Like, it is literally the privilege of my life to be able to have this community following me and supporting me. So I love y'all. If there's ever anything I can do to support y'all back, feel free to let me know. My DMs are always open. And I love you. I love you big time. And we will talk next week. Bye.